Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Realm News. I am your host, the Dark Lord, the one who puts the real in realm and expands your mind one block at a time. And I am here today with a very I have to tell you guys, I have no script for this one. I am ad-libbing this show, so bear with me today. I'll just be up front again. I'm a very transparent host. I just been busy over the weekend. Since I inherited a house, I have to travel out of town, and now I have the responsibilities of being a homeowner on top of living an hour away from that said home. So it's just a busy. So the next few weeks, or actually months, folks, maybe just a little bit of me doing episodes like this, a little bit less scripted, because I will be very busy doing the upkeep to this house and making transitions. So I'm going to be extremely busy with all that. So just bear with me. I'm not going anywhere. That's why I'm keeping this show going full steam. So just wanted to say that to you also. You're not confused why the script is a little bit different, or the format of the show. So this is going to be another poll time one, and it's a great poll time. And I made this poll, folks, right after the Cubed Chaos was announced during the spring Minecraft Live 2026 event. And I wanted to get the public's sentiments on this drop. And it was interesting. It was intriguing to get the results on this. It was Realm News's, by far, biggest poll. With that said, yes, I'll just leave that as a cliffhanger. You have to tune in, because with that said, let's go to poll time. It's poll time. Yes, folks, it is poll time. And this has been, poll time. For those who are new, though, who may not know poll time, well, this has been a Realm News staple since, maybe episode 3? I'm trying 2, I think, actually. I think I posed the question about the cleric's cloak. Anyways, I'll have to fact check myself on that. But poll time's been around for a long, long time. It's been incorporated on every Thursday, and when I'm not able to do them, like my regular Thursday full-fledged episodes, they're poll time episodes. So poll time has been a Realm News staple, and I love it because it gets the community involved. They leave comments. Everybody leaves comments on these polls that I run. This is maybe my number 127 or 130th poll I've made. So that's, to me, amazing in itself. And I love poll time because this is how I collect data. And it occurred to me the other day, just yesterday, when I think I was in the shower, when a lot of people are having their great thoughts. I was thinking, I was like, I think I am the only show that is pulling like raw data and polls, like these polls on Minecraft, and getting an actual gauge and raw information. And I love that. And I've formatted a lot of these. I posted in transcripts, and I've been thinking this is something I want to do if I can just find time. Because I would be able to do all this stuff if I just had more time. So go sign up for my Patreon, folks, if you want to support me so I can get my second job. And that'd free me up time so I can deliver more Realm News content to you. But once I find more time, I want to compile, because I have scripts for every one of these episodes. And I even have my poll information for this written down on my laptop. But I want to compile all together every episode of Realm News and put it all on one page document, and that way I can just add to that page document, and it would be almost like a crazy Wikipedia of sorts for Realm News for me to just navigate through. But I think I'll publish that not publicly, probably for free and paid members on the Patreon. So go sign up there at the patreon.com/Realm News. And it would be like this huge document where you could just like go to your search bar and find any poll that I've ever published written, or at least right there, and you'd have the information. I think that would be really cool. Well, folks, let's move on here, away from my rambles, and let's just get down to the nitty gritty of all this. The poll I did. Let me go ahead and read it verbatim here. I posted this. The 2026 Spring Minecraft Live just ended, leaving us with the Sulfur Cube, Sulfur Blocks, Cinnabar Block, and Potent Sulfur pools. I am curious, what do you think of this drop, and do you enjoy it? That was a pretty straightforward question, right, folks? And the title of this is, do you like cubed chaos? And I provide 3 examples. The first one is, it's great. Not examples, sorry. 3 options. It's great, it's meh, or in between. Come see, come saw, just so-so. And the third option, I dislike it. Well, it was interesting results, folks. I told you before in the intro that this was the biggest poll in Realm News' history, and I wasn't joking. This received, on the nose, 625 votes. Outstanding. I mean, seriously, I'm a loss for words. I was thrilled to see that, because I don't know. This will give us a very accurate picture, though, when I'm about to read the results on the community's sentiments towards this drop. And this is how I conduct these polls, as I've said on the aesthetics and functionality episode. And I think that was the first time that was ever brought to light. However, I don't just post it on my Realm News subreddit. Actually, my own subreddit gets the least amount of votes out of where I post it. I post it there and on 2 other subreddits, r/Minecraft2 and r/survival_Minecraft, or Minecraft_survival. Sorry. My apologies for mincing that up. And they garner the most of the votes for each of my polls and have the entire duration of Realm News. My subreddit's still relatively small, so if you want to go sign up there, please do, because I post old episodes there and some other stuff when I have time. I haven't been too involved there for a while, but I would like to get more involved there again. And like I said, the poll was very interesting this week, folks, because out of the 625 votes, we had a range of numbers. it was there. I'll just go ahead and tell you the winner. How about this? And the winner was a little bit disappointing to me. It was the It's Meh group with, let me see here, 317 votes altogether, which results in almost exactly half the votes. 50.7% of the votes, or the people, voted for It's Meh, or it's just okay, or bland, like just bland. That blew my mind, that half of the votes for this drop just thought it was okay. The comments I'm going to read to you in a little bit are overwhelmingly, I thought, negative towards this drop, which shocked me, because the Tiny Takeover, I thought, to me, was just the worst drop in drop history. But it seems like people are already starting to have qualms over Cube Chaos at the very get-go. And I'll be curious, because if I remember to do this, I want to do another poll over this, where at the maybe in December, or maybe even next year, and gauge how people like it, their sentiments, and see how that shifts. Kind of like exactly how I did over the bundles. So yeah, I think that'll be interesting to do another cross analysis of a past, like right off the bat poll, like getting, because I posted this the day that this was announced. So this was raw data and it was fresh. And so this is very accurate in my opinion. So we know that it's meh. This just got it's meh. And it was like that for, pretty consistent for all three groups. I told you I do this I'm not going to count Realm News in this poll because they only had one vote and that was from me. But I'll just say this, that it's meh in Minecraft _survival got 52.4% there. And r/Minecraft 2 with it's meh scored 49.7% of the votes. So there's a 3% difference there. It looks like the Minecraft 2 people subreddit actually enjoyed this a little bit better than Minecraft Survival. So that's interesting to see, but barely. It's the margin of error. They're almost identical pretty much. And let's go ahead and move on to the second runner up here. The second runner up, this one's easy to tell for me to tell you that this is the people that it's great, which is amazing that I got second place. I'm happy with that. I just thought maybe this would been first place, but the second place group, it's great people. They gave 195 votes, which equals out to be 31.2% of the pie, roughly a third of the pie. So we have a half say it's meh, and then we got a third of the people saying it's great, which is just crazy. Maybe people's sentiments were bogged down from the tiny takeover. Maybe the tiny takeover soured people's minds and their palates so bad with drops that they were just, maybe that sentiment carried into this new drop and towards it. I don't know. That's my own theory, the Dark Lord's theory. But I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching for the stars on that one. I'm not quite sure what people are thinking on this or why their sentiments are what they are, but we'll get to that when I read off comments, folks. Let's go to third place here. Third place got about a fifth of the votes with, 18 on the dot, 18% of the votes, resulting in 113 people, which I'm glad to see that the people disliking it was so low. Again, that results to about a fifth of the people disliking it, which is interesting to me because I figured, that's pretty low. But I did a cross comparison. I just want to let you know, while we're on this, I posted this on X, but this was over sentiments that I just read from the Cube Chaos in comparison to the creaking poll that I did right after the creaking was announced. Actually, maybe a month or so after. I have to look that back up. But that poll back in 2024 was much smaller. It only had, how many votes was it? 17 votes. So the 17 votes that out of that, the people that loved or thought it was great, the creaking, was 41.2%. And we're looking at the people that think it's great here, 32%. And then the neutral group in this poll for the creaking was 41.2%. And we're looking at here 50.8%, like I said. And then the dislike and bad for the creaking was 17.6, almost spot on, because we're at 18% dislike for the Cube Chaos drop. So they're almost not quite spitting images. The dislike is for sure. Dislike hardly hasn't fluctuated. I want to look over all my poll drops or drops over pulls I did over drops and gauge this and just see how the trend is just amongst old pulls, see how they fluctuate and whatnot. Anyways, I think that'll be interesting once I get a little bit further into those analysis or into all those analytics. Let's move on to comments, shall we? I would like to start, and I know I said this before, I was going to break them up into like people that dislike it and people that like it, but I decided not to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and read them off randomly. I got an overwhelming amount of of comments. Let's start with Willie the Fish, who says, "It looks super cute. I get why people are disappointed, but given how often updates come out, I don't really care how insignificant it seems." And great quote, I think. I said, nice comment, and I asked if I could use it, and I agree. And let's move on to, thank you, Willie the Fish. I'm going to read these off a little bit faster tonight, folks, because I have a lot of comments. Ariosos. They say, quote, "I feel like all of Minecraft drop naysayers forget the fact that Minecraft 1.1 to 1.5, 1.10, 1.11, and 1.15 were all small drop-like updates. This adds a new mob with a cool mechanic for mini games, and also a bonus biome. To be fair, it does seem a little odd below ground and probably needs to be polished, like maybe colored concrete powdered blocks for the rainbow effect that sulfur and acid pool gives. Maybe make the biome a bit more grand and open. I do like it, though, and it gives some gameplay options for server minigame players," end quote. Yeah, I think Ariosis, I think you're right on that multiplayers, and we were talking about this, I believe, at the round table. Everybody's going to get use out of this, but multiplayer is going to have a heyday. Those survival multiplayer worlds are going to go crazy with it, and I can't wait to see what Redstone community does with this thing. That's going to be intriguing. What are they going to do? Make quantum supercomputers in Minecraft with this new sulfur cube tech? I'm joking. I don't know what they can do with it. I'm not that tech savvy. Thank you, Ariosis, for that comment. That was an amazing comment. I loved it. Now, let's move on to someone else here. I got a Somer Random 995. Quote, "He has nothing I'm particularly interested in, but that's okay. Players who make minigames will have a ball with this. Pun intended. I suspect the devs saw armadillos being used as balls and thought this up to expand on the concept. I personally like the little Q and L or QOL changes from recent updates more, like the crafting recipe for name tags, leash mechanics, etc. I'm hoping the sulfur blocks will have a bit more utility than is shown. Giving mobs nausea doesn't really do anything, and we didn't particularly need new red or yellow blocks for building, I think they meant to say. A bit more K variation is nice, though." I'm going to say some random 995 likes this. I'm going to say they like this drop, or I say they lean on liking it more than disliking it, and more so than meh. But yeah, I love this, what they said about where they were speculating where they got the idea from armadillos being used. Like they got inspiration from their own designs of the armadillos balling up. I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting, them saying that. Who knows where they got inspired by these sulfur cubes. But I love that comment. And I agree. Just the nausea doesn't do too much. But talking to people on the Realm News Roundtable and listening to how nausea will affect you, especially when there's hostile mobs in that dark biome until you get torched up, it's going to be pretty dangerous when you're not nauseated, especially when creepers are coming after you. Every little thing will make a difference, and so that might actually end your life. But who knows? We'll see. I myself would like to see it do maybe a little bit of health damage, but maybe that's taking it too far. And as far as it goes for we don't need any of the red or yellow or any more building blocks like this, I think these have unique colors, and I think they will be used in unique ways. I think they fill a niche there in the color palette scheme, however you want to call it. But I kind of see where you're coming from, some random 995, and I appreciate your comment. And with that said, let's move on to the next person. This person, Pixel4571, says, very underwhelming, but I'm hopeful for the next drop. Sorry you're underwhelmed, Pixel4571. I get it. I was underwhelmed for 3 months this year up until this one. I do enjoy this one. I'm excited to see what else they deliver to us. But, Tiny Takeover, I was not a fan, so I get what it feels like to not be a fan of something. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully the next one pleases you. Mojang tries to do something for everybody. I think this one was well balanced. I personally love it. At first, I was a little bit hesitant. I'll say that. I was a little bit skeptical at first. Maybe a little bit critical at first. But tinge, I'll say, of critique. But now I do love it. I'm excited to see what they do with it and what they add to it in the coming weeks. I think it's going to be fun. I'm excited to see what the community does. I'm excited to see what I do with it. Anyways, let's move on to the next person here. Velcro _ sorcerer, I think. You know how some people spell their names, how they're supposed to be said. Oh, anyways. Quote, I genuinely can't understand how people are still hopeful for an end update / skulk dimension when we've been getting this kind of game drops for 3 years. End quote. I said, we got Dungeons 2. That's a pretty big deal. And then they never respond back. Yeah, I like this drop, and I don't know. I think the end update's coming. They're just still fleshing that out, working on it. I'm not in a hurry. I know a lot of people are. But I don't know. I think it's coming sooner than we think. Anyways, Velcro _ sorcerer, whatever your name is. Thank you for that comment. Let's move on to this person who goes by Zas _ N, who says, quote, I like the Sulfur Cube a lot. Hell, it's probably one of my favorite mobs they've added in years. And I don't hate the blocks or anything, but I just want more. I get that we're not getting anything other than drops for at least a while, if ever again. But after a certain point, it's just a bit much. Or I guess, ironically, not enough. Like, I'll defend 1.20 with my heart. I loved 1.20, and 1.21 was even better, to the point I think it is one of the best updates the game has ever had. I was genuinely gaining so much faith in Mojang after the slog of 1.17, 18, 19, and then all of that faith was immediately shot and tossed out when they announced drops. They want Minecraft to be a live service game. The fact you can play older versions or download mods doesn't change the fact I am unsatisfied with the direction it took. I get that they do need to update the game still. Not that Microsoft would let them stop without quitting, LMAO. But I genuinely just don't care for the drop cycle. The issue I was having in 1.17, 19, and even a bit with 20/21 was that the updates were taking as long to develop as before, but had less content. I know this is because of how much old code was being overhauled, but the fact that drops feel like they have the same amount of content per year as with updates, but just spread out even thinner and with even less focus is what put the nail in the coffin. I knew from the start it would suck, and it's just as bad as I thought. Okay, Zas _ N. Thank you for that comment. I will have to respectfully disagree with you. I personally like the drop system a lot. I think we're receiving quite a bit of stuff, to just, for lack of better words, just more stuff. I know I was complaining about the last drop. I think the last drop just could have been, presented different. But I love what they're doing, filling in the overworld gaps. And I do agree with the people who tell me that this was necessary, the time takeover. So I capitulate on that. However, I do disagree with you that the update system was better. I think we're receiving more than we were with the update system by far. And I think this allows the devs to pivot and react more and put in things that have that have been on the back burner. And I think they've been proving that because copper armors in the game gave copper a functionality. We've have zombie horse parody. I mean, they're just doing a whole bunch of stuff. We have a lot of new game mechanics, or I mean, not even just game mechanics. Well, in a way, yeah, like crafting recipes, such as leads, name tags. Geez, what else? I can't remember everything that harnesses, saddles. I guess harnesses weren't ever in the game until the Happy Gas, but yeah, we have a harness. We have a lot of different things that have been added and brought up to speed, and the bundle and everything just amazing. So I don't know. I like it, but anyways, to each their own, right? And I appreciate your comment, I really do. So please keep dropping them. Next commenter I have goes by Prometheus underscore Thorn, and they wrote quite a long one as well. It goes, quote, I feel like Minecraft needs to go back and add uses to things that don't have any or little before they add anything new. Already the things they have added are essentially useless. Just some new blocks and a mob that's only use is to be played with by people. The sulfur cubes uses in redstone, etc. are very limited. Most of the things they do can already be replicated by other things, and its use as a ball will get old within the hour. The potent sulfur water could have been used better. It is essentially sulfuric acid. They could have used it like lava. It kills mobs and players without setting them on fire. And items aren't destroyed. I just think that there is so much more they could have done, but they didn't. I hope there is still some more they haven't announced. On top of this, Minecraft showing the deep dark portal on Minecraft Live was a bit scummy. They knew everyone was excited for and wanted that as an update. And then to show but just use it to announce Dungeons 2 was just a bit mean. Overall, Minecraft just promised a lot for this update, but didn't really deliver. These past two drops have been really underwhelming. End quote. I'm sorry to hear that, Prometheus underscore Thorn. You said a lot there, and I'm trying to process this. And I mean, I think there's going to be a lot more applications than what you're giving it credit for. I think Redstone users are more inventive than what you think. And unless you are a Redstone player, maybe you've already thought of all the uses, but I think there's going to be quite a few uses. And as far as sulfuric acid goes, I'm not quite sure. I think it's more of because I've worked with sulfuric acid in masonry before, and it's not something it is something that can burn you. But in Minecraft, it doesn't look like that's what happens because there's no health damage. It's more of just breathing it in and give you noxious effects. So, I mean, yes, I know that sulfur is primarily used in its primary purpose in society is for industrial use in the form of sulfuric acid, but they aren't making that as sulfuric acid in the game. So I'm going to have to deviate from you on that one. But I do like what you were saying here. They could have used it like lava, but just without setting them on fire. That would have been interesting, right? So then we're going back to the health damage, which I'll be interested to see what they do with that in the coming weeks, in new upcoming snapshots. And yeah, I mean, and what you're talking about, the deep dark portal being scummy, I don't know about that either. I mean, I think it was all okay. I enjoyed seeing the trailer for Dungeons 2. I thought it was pretty cool. I'm just sorry that you're disappointed. I hope maybe the next drop alleviates you of some of that woe with the drop system that you've been experiencing. I do appreciate your comment, and please keep leaving them in future polls. Moving on, let's go on to someone who goes by, let me see here, Weary_drama 1803. Quote, derpy, bouncy lil guy, and 2 more color options for stone-based blocks. Nothing super crazy, but there's still neat features that freshen the atmosphere a little. I'd only ever dislike an update if they straight up made a bad change, rather than just having underwhelming content. I'd play the game even if they never added anything ever again. End quote. Same. I agree with you on that, Weary_drama. I said that before on the show too. Like, we are all spoiled as a community because they just deliver us free content 4 times a year. Wait, yeah, isn't there? Wait, 2 times a year? Sorry, but yeah, this is just, we can be a little bit selfish sometimes as a community. So I agree with you, Weary_drama 1803. Thank you for that. I think I want to go ahead and do one last comment to wrap this up right quick. Let me see here. What's a good one? 10 Chimp 71 83 37 6 says, quote, I actually think this is a great update. Didn't expect to be saying that anytime soon. Very positive features that reach lots of parts of the game. The reason that I am beep is the absolute slap in the face that was the Dungeons 2 announcement, end quote. I wonder why I thought that was a slap in the face. I'm glad you enjoyed the update or the drop, 10 Chimp. I'm glad that you just like that. I guess I don't really understand why it was slap in the face about the Dungeons 2 announcement. I thought everybody was elated by that. Let's go on to someone else before I wrap this up. Quote, this is from Spider-Lord 1520. Quote, I always won't find these drops horrible. New stuff is usually welcome as long as nothing is removed. But I'm tired of Mojang just pushing out more and more content. I think they need to go back and touch up old stuff. The Anvil, Enchantment, XP, Potion, Trading, and basically everything progression related is horrible. If I was in charge, I'd decide they should spend a whole 4 game drops just fixing the terrible outdated progression. End quote. Well said, Spider-Lord 1520. My gosh. This is something I've been talking about today, actually, with my DMs on Twitter with some friends from the round table, saying when we were talking about the 4th dimension, and I was saying we don't need a 4th dimension. I was saying I don't want a 4th dimension. I've said this on Twitter publicly. I don't want a 4th dimension. Not yet. Not for years to come. Like you said, Spider-Lord. From one Lord, the Dark Lord, to Spider-Lord. We have the Anvil, Enchantment, XP, Potion. Yes, the progression systems all are horrible and they need to be revamped. And plus, the end needs fixed, or I'll just say fixed. It just needs to be paid attention to. Sorry. I haven't been there, but from the photos, the videos, everything I've seen, it looks so lackluster. I've said that 2 years ago on my show. It's like, who the hell wants to go there? They need to spice that place up, add some content into the end because it's literally just a void, and fill that. And before anything, do the enchantment system, the potion system, trading like you said, Spider-Lord, and get those caught up to speed before you ever think about putting in a 4th dimension. That's just my opinion, folks. It's my opinion. But I know a lot of people want 4th dimension, but we got to get some work done on some old things first before we throw in a 4th dimension. And I agree with Mickey Joe, who was on my show, about when he said that the 4th dimension will just oversaturate the game. It will. I agree 100% because the game, we don't need a 4th layer to it when there's so many blanks. Hell, the overworld sky is still blank. We have what? Parrots and phantoms? Sorry. Come on, people. We need birds and things like that in the overworld still. Heck, throw in some flying creatures in the nether, like besides Happy Gas. Let's get wild. And what about the end? throw in some flying stuff besides the dragon in there. Like, let's get some heck, put the phantoms in there even. But make them attack you all day. Now people are going to get angry with me. However, I think that there's a lot of things that could be paid attention to before we ever consider moving on to a fourth dimension. However, thank you, Spider-Lord. I'm glad that you like the drops and new stuff is welcome. And this drop was welcome to me as well. And I'm glad that Tiny Takeover is just over with. It's over with. It was necessary, but I'm glad it's done. And with that said, folks, that wraps up Pull Time today. I'm going to leave off with Spider-Lord 1520's comment there. Thank you very much. I had a great time. I wanted to focus on this pull a little bit more since it was my biggest pull ever, but just given all the circumstances right now, folks, I was able to make this longer than what it is. But I do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in this week. I really do. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this pull. I thought it was a fascinating pull. I mean, let's just go over the numbers real quick again. The winner of this week's poll with half the votes literally is It's Meh, 50.7% of the votes. And then second place, It's Great Group, which was my group. It got 195 votes with 31.2% of the pie, or 1/3 roughly. And then third place, I Dislike It group, the naysayers. They had 113 votes at 18%, or about 1/5 of the votes. So about a fifth of the community out there hate this, according to this poll. A fifth of people that you talk to online hate this. And 1/2 think this is pretty boring. And then only 1/3 of you, including me, think this is a great drop. So keep those numbers in the back of your head when you're going about your day-to-day Minecraft activities. And thanks again for joining me at Realm News. I wish you all a great rest of your day and happy crafting. The Dark Lord. Signing out. Hey, Realm News fans, it's your host, the Dark Lord, the one who puts the real in Realm and expands your mind one block at a time. I am here to tell you that your support means everything. Spread the word by telling friends, liking, and commenting on Spotify or Good Pods. Find me on X, Blue Sky, Reddit, or via email at bio.link/Realm News. For more content, join my Patreon at the Copper tier for early episodes, bonus content, and newsletters. Find out more at bio.link/Realm News. No pressure, though. Just keep listening, liking, and sharing. That's more than enough. Happy crafting, and see you at the next Realm News.